Hello, coaches. Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better Spotlight. In today's episode, Clint and I talk about trends in instructional coaching, particularly in international schools in Asia. In this spotlight, we're highlighting the section where we talk about what it means to be a coach and many of the key elements of being a coach today that were perhaps not as a significant part of the role several years ago. Our conversation today was inspired by questions from our Coach Better Facebook group. We're planning to respond to those questions here on the channel regularly, so please join us in that Facebook group or leave a question in the comments below because we'd love to hear from you and share our thoughts on your questions about coaching to help us all coach better. If you enjoy any part of this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more conversations like this, please subscribe to our channel and click the notifications bell to find out every time we release a new episode. Remember, you can also listen to the full Coach Better episode wherever you get your podcasts. We are passionate about the impact coaching can have on student learning, school culture, and teacher professional growth, and we want to help you coach better. We've got some great opportunities for more learning after today's conversation, so stick around all the way to the end. All right, welcome back to another episode of Coach Better. Today, it's just me and Clint, and we're going to be answering some questions that we have received in our Coach Better Facebook group, and we'd love to have you as part of this conversation too. So please leave your thoughts on these questions in the comments below and ask us other questions because we love getting these really thought-provoking questions and having some time to wrestle with them together. Clint, our first question is a combo question and broad statement. So the idea is to talk about trends in instructional coaching in international schools, particularly in Asia, and what does it really mean to be a coach? So to kind of summarize, what does being a coach mean? And coming back to all these different things that we hit on, we talked about being a coach means being able to personalize learning for every single teacher on your staff. Understanding that we want that learning to be deep and meaningful and relevant and practical. And so it might not look the same for every single person, which obviously is the definition of personalized learning. And it might not look standard across the board for you as a coach, that you might be spending more time with some people and less time with others. And that is okay as long as we're balancing things out over the course of the year. And I think another thing that what does coaching look like, or what is our question? What does being a coach mean? It means being adaptable and flexible to the changing nature of the way that we teach and learn today, right? And I think that's the area where coaches that were formerly under the ed tech realm and are now moving more towards the instructional coach realm, that's the kind of interesting piece, because it's not just about the tool, it's about this is the way we just interact in the world today. And I think what does being a coach mean? It means someone who has their finger on the pulse of what learning looks like today. And I think just being someone who loves tech tools doesn't automatically make you someone who has their finger on the pulse of what learning looks like today. The same way someone who's passionate about literacy might not have their finger on the pulse of what learning looks like today. And I think the merging of those skill sets is really important. So what does being a coach mean? It means you have to know what modern learning looks like, and you have to be able to personalize that for every teacher on your staff.
Absolutely. You like computers, so you can be a tech coach, or you teach computer science or robotics, so you could also hold the role of tech coach. I think that is doing a disservice both to the importance of those other disciplines as well as to what it means to be an instructional coach and what those instructional coaching responsibilities look like. And you said something earlier about being able to personalize and individualize learning for every teacher on staff, which I agree with, but I also think it's important that whatever organization you're working in, they have a definition of what good teaching and learning looks like, so that you can, that's your standard, right? This is standards-based grading for teachers almost, right? This is what I am striving to do. How I get there is going to be different. The different areas where I need to focus on improvement will be different. But we know what a good teacher looks like, just like we know what a good student in grade 8 looks like. That student might just need more help in this area of math or that area of reading or that area of writing or science or whatever, because we have these standards and we have these rubrics basically of what that good looks like. And so in an ideal situation, I'd be able to work with that student and be like, oh, okay, so here's your learning plan to help you understand how this works better. So same thing with my teacher. Here's your learning plan that we've come up with together, and we all have buy-in about what we can do together and what I can do to support you to become better at X, Y, or Z. I think one of the things that we often forget too is coaching can be a very slow process, especially at the start. And you might feel like, or administration might feel like, they're not having that impact. I expected this person to come in and every teacher will be able to do all of these things all at once. And I think the reality is more like it is kind of slow but exponential growth. So if you're starting with not a whole lot, well, when you double not a whole lot, you still don't have very much, right? So, but you are constantly growing. But it's not a linear straight line growth. It's going to start off really slow, and then pretty soon you're going to reach that critical mass, whatever that happens to be. And now it's not only me, the instructional coach, supporting the teachers, but those teachers that I have supported are also supporting other teachers. And then those teachers are also supporting other teachers. So you're growing capacity. And as you grow that capacity, that's going to increase the speed at which you see that change. But it's not going to happen quickly overnight, or you're not going to be able to see 2 people every day or whatever that happens to be. It's just going to be, you have to really trust the process, and you have to trust that the people that you have in place know what they need to do, right? Because you've defined, as a school, we've defined what it is that we need to do, and you're setting reasonable expectations of growth for that. And then over time, I think that's when you really start to see the benefits of that coaching. You don't see it overnight. And sometimes I think we forget that. We want to see it overnight, but it takes a little bit of time.
And in that sense, too, being a coach also means you might have to be strategic in ways that might initially feel a little bit uncomfortable, right? Because you need to figure out who are the people that are going to help you build that capacity and help you empower others and make good connections with other teachers that you might not be able to make yourself. And so I think that's an element of coaching that is really critical, like boots on the ground kind of aspect of coaching that, again, is not super visible and is a slow process. But once it starts hitting, it's really powerful.
And I think that also means, that your role will continue to shift, because as more and more of your teachers have an understanding of a certain aspect, what's that next area of focus, right? Or, oh my goodness, I feel like we've been talking about digital citizenship forever, but then you have a new teacher who might come into your school, into your district, and they're coming from a different background. So how are you going to support that teacher, right? Because they're going to have very different needs, but as well as challenge other teachers who might be further along that continuum. And I think if we're talking, you and I both have a lot of experience in international schools, because there tends to be a high transient rate of teachers. You might get anywhere from 20 to 40% of your teachers are new every year. How do you continue to sustain that momentum and not change what your vision is, but ensure that you are picking up those teachers that are newly on staff and like, hey, we need to get you up to speed and we're going to support you to get there. And we know it's not going to be overnight, right? Those are really, really important positions. And how do you ensure that you don't start losing focus as to what our goal is as an organization? I think coaches are really, really important in helping to maintain that long-term fidelity, I guess, to that vision.
If you've enjoyed any part of this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more great conversations about coaching with inspiring educators from around the world, subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notifications bell to find out every time we release a new episode. To hear the full-length conversation, subscribe to the Coach Better podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
And if you're looking for even more resources to help you coach better, head over to edurolearning.com/coachbetter to explore over 20 online courses designed by coaches for coaches. Catch us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Eduro Learning to connect with us. See you next week on Coach Better Spotlight.